If I had a problem, I'd be starving. I'd be hawking this watch. I do not have a problem. I enjoy gambling.
Yeah, well, not quite. Yeah, let's stick to football.
We are back, baby! Am I live? Hey, these are family matters right here.
Hey, is that a regulation-sized football or what?
Hey, I think that's a first down in my book. Am I live? Are we good? Are we live here? No, your people, my people. Hey, I'm glad they worked it out. We're here now, so let's fucking go. Hey, I'm pumped. You guys are doing a hell of a job here at the Round Robin Pod.
Some sort of like welcome to the pod.
Hey, there it is.
No. You gotta do something.
Yeah, we need an intro, dude. Fucking welcome to the pod. So you have some look ahead spots besides the Bears and the Raiders. I had a feeling we'd be in agreement on the Raiders -1 this week.
Yeah, I wanted to go through with you and just get your opinion at the schedule, starting from top to bottom, and just go through and tell me which teams are kind of a buy low, and the other one, the opponent is a sell high type of scenario.
Okay.
So we got game one would be the Cowboys and the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could buy low on the Cowboys. I'm pretty firm on staying away from Thursday games unless there's a I really am obsessed with that handicap because I believe that on short rest, and we watched it again last week with Rodgers. Like, if you have a guy that's capable of operating outside of the offense and making plays on his own, you have a huge advantage in a Thursday game. And Dak doesn't do that. And Daniel Jones really doesn't do that. The thing about the Giants that's really interesting, someone on Twitter wrote that Malik Neighbors is so good that he's going to save Daniel Jones's job, and they're all bummed about it as Giants fans. He's just throwing the ball like 30 feet in the air out of the back of the end zone, and Neighbors just like touchdown.
He's really good.
He's really good, dude. It's
turns out Nick Saban was right, huh?
Someone else said LSU receivers are like Kentucky point guards. You just draft them.
Yeah.
You just draft them. Yeah. So, okay, what's the? So I think so. I mean,
so on that game for me, it's slight. It was like you could sell high on the Giants. Well, like the market just won the game.
The market agrees with you too. The Cowboys went from 4 to 5 or 4.5 to 5.5 since last night.
Right, and I think like what is this line? The last few years, this has been 7 at least. Cowboys against the Giants, at least 7.
Yeah.
So now you're getting like a little bit of a discount on the Giants. The Sharps kind of snatched it up right away, 4.5 to 5.5. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to like 6.5, maybe. But it's not a game I loved. But I thought like there's a little bit of buy low on the Cowboys here and a little bit of sell high on the Giants just because they won a game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still picking the Cowboys to win the NFC East.
Okay, I've got the Commanders all the way. I'm all in.
You
preseason. And
you were early on
the
higher
on them than I am now.
You were early on the Commanders, and I mean, I picked them to win the game last night, so I like them too. I picked Cowboys preseason, and I think, like you just said, the overreaction to the Cowboys playing, like the Cowboys can't be this bad, and you might disagree with me, but I don't think that they're this bad. I really like Dak. Their O-line's pretty good. They're deep, like they have a good D line, like an incredible pass rusher and defensive player. So I'm buying low on the Cowboys.
So I didn't bet this game. I liked the under though. I took under 45.
Okay.
And kind of like what you said, like Dak's not a guy on Thursday Night Football you really want. Neither is Daniel Jones. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game. So every Thursday night game has gone under so far. It's just a trend for the last few years. These Thursday night games have been going under.
What's the next game? I like this game.
There was Saints and Falcons, but they both are coming off losses. I don't really feel like either team is like a buy low, sell high situation.
Well, you're probably right about that, but this is a game that I actually like early because I actually think that the Saints are good, and I think that the Falcons are not. So what I think happened and I told you this, handicapping going into last week, I thought, and I changed my mind coming into Sunday, and I started to like the Saints. But I told you when we considered picking the Saints for the millions, and I said I'd be worried about the Eagles looking so bad on defense last week that they adjust some things and they look way better this week. And they play. I mean, did you see how hard they were playing? They're like their defensive line guys were like trying to fight like the other players and like they're getting held back. So I think that the Saints were made to look. I think the Saints are a really good football team that are currently playing pretty well and like rallying. So I actually like the Saints in that game. But you're right, it doesn't fit this thing that we're doing.
I'm going to take a little victory lap just because what the Eagles did was they just contained. They just didn't let they didn't let Alvin Kamara get outside. They just forced him inside and said Derek Carr beat us. And Derek Carr could not beat them. In
his defense, Rashid dropped 2 or 3 like 50-yard passes. Like I was watching that game, and I actually thought that like the Saints probably win that game easily if they just like catch a couple. Like I feel like every time I looked down, he was dropping touchdowns.
Yeah, they did have an unfortunate red zone situation.
Like I'll be interested to see actually because there's one of the pods that I listen to like does the they extrapolate the stats from the game like yards per play and all this stuff, and then they get a predictive like what the score should have been based on that information. So I'll be interested to see, but based on it was on one of the TVs and I thought that the Saints probably win that game most of the time. And I thought that the Eagles had like a next level effort, like a next level, like they're maybe the best I've seen the Eagles play in like a whole season.
Despite Sirianni trying to give the game away over and over.
Yeah.
That was nuts. He's bad.
It's actually I was one of the things I thought about that game was if we had the Saints, I would have been losing my mind that they figured out a way to not win that game.
Lose that game.
Yeah.
I mean, then they took the lead, and then did you see the Dallas Goedert catch and 3 Saints ran into each other and they all just like fell over like bowling pins, and he just it was
not to mention he was their only like receiver on the field at the time. Like that's the only guy.
That was the issue. All 3 of them were trying to cover him, and they all ran into each other.
It's like the little giants.
Okay, so you like the Saints, early lean Saints. Yeah. I don't hate it, especially with the injuries the Falcons have.
The Falcons stink. And speaking about boneheaded coaching, like, dude. But hey, guess what? When Andy Reid is racing to call timeout, you don't need to be calling timeouts. You're like, well, wait, do I want a timeout or does he want a timeout? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, no, they wanted just to beat him to the timeout.
Yeah, like, no, here, hey, Andy, use one of ours.
Yeah. Hey, we got 3. You want one?
We don't need them.
Yeah. Okay. Rams Bears.
Yeah. I like the Bears. I think it's tough because like we just said, like the Bears are one of the worst coach teams in the league. I told you coming into the season, I really don't like Eberflus and I really don't like their coaching staff. But everyone watches these games and they go, "Hey, the Bears offensive line sucks. Caleb Williams sucks." And that's not really what I think is true. What I think is true is the coaching is wrong. So if you take a below average offensive line and a rookie quarterback and you give them a terrible plan, then it just looks like he's running around with no regard for his own safety and the O-line looks terrible because the plan is bad. So what I think they'll do now that they're like, they really should be 0-3, but they've really, really like not been able to score points. So they're going to simplify the offense this week. My prediction would be that they'll simplify the offense this week and that they'll prepare a game plan of all specifically things that Caleb Williams is good at. And then he will look really good this week. That would be my prediction. And then I also think the Rams are just completely decimated and they had no business winning that game. And so there's a value bump. Like there's value fading the Rams because they just beat the Niners when they should not have.
I totally agree. I also think the -2.5 is fishy. Like -3, 2.5, 3. It's like, oh, Like
Oh,
I think
I saw 1.5. Yeah, at one point
no,
yesterday.
yesterday it was. The
Yeah,
Bears are
yeah,
now minus 2.5, -3.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I
So
think I think a
the
lot of the
sharps
public,
just
especially at 3, a lot of the public is going to bet the Rams.
yeah.
Um, Also, we've seen it took a few weeks, but now week 3 we saw Bo Nix look really good. Week 3 we saw Jaden start to throw the ball downfield and look really good.
Yep.
And I would expect they're going to at least open up the playbook a little bit more to Caleb, like you said, and let him throw the ball.
The
downfield.
main difference between what Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix have and what Caleb Williams has is a coach that is helping them get better. So
Mhm.
like it serves to reason to me that the worst coach would take an extra week to figure out like what they're doing wrong. I think it's a safe expectation that the Bears will come into this game with a simpler plan that makes their offensive line and Caleb look and play much better.
Yep. Do you have anything on the Vikings Packers? I think that just now this week, the public, for the first time, has flipped onto the Vikings, and they go, "The Vikings are world beaters." They didn't believe what they saw week 1 when they beat the Niners. It was I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people thought what we thought. Where
they beat the Niners last year too.
Film. Texans have all the film. They're going to go in. Texans are going to win this game. And now they beat the Texans, and they not only beat them, they smoked the Texans.
The Texans was a really big public side last week too.
All I can hear this week is how good the Vikings are for the first time, and nobody believed in them before. Now everyone's jumping on the Vikings bandwagon. It's the perfect time to take the Packers in Green Bay. It's one of my favorite bets. 2.5 seems like a lot. It seems like why would we bet this game? Why wouldn't we just pass? I think this is going to be the game where it's going to be one of the more, I mean, if Jordan Love plays, maybe not, but I think people love the Packers. I mean, love the Vikings now, and it's a perfect time to bet the Packers.
Jordan Love's definitely playing. The market,
I think so too.
The market says Jordan Love's playing. I think you were actually closer to right than I was. I think he really wanted to play in Tennessee, and they didn't let him. So you'll like this. I got a text message from let's just call him a pretty square NFL bettor or NFL follower. And he said, Vikings winning the Super Bowl, book it. So right in line with what you're saying. Like literally 48 hours ago, I got a text message from someone that I don't even talk to that much who barely follows the league and said, Vikings winning the Super Bowl, book it.
And the Vikings are much better than everyone thought they would be, and their coaching is great. It's just the perfect time to fade them when everyone takes them and loves them.
It's in Green Bay, right?
It's in Green Bay.
Yeah. In Green
the
Bay.
Packers run the ball.
If it's 2.5, if it's 2 or 2.5, it's an easy pick. Easy Packers pick. All right, what's the next one?
Yep. So I love that one. Packers -2.5. Steelers Colts. Steelers at Colts.
The Steelers are favored in that game. Right?
Steelers -2 in Indianapolis right now.
Yeah, I mean, I lean Colts. Steelers were on my list of like, I think they're one of the best teams in the league. I think. Did you see Belichick called them the best quarterback situation in the NFL?
No. Wow.
He said, I mean, yeah, dude, it makes sense, right? Because and I think it's a genius headline too, because the whole offseason and all through Hard Knocks, all I heard was the Bears have the best situation for a rookie quarterback in the history of football. And guess what happens? Their old quarterback, Justin Fields, takes the starting job on an injury to Russell Wilson and actually is in the best. Because, dude, he is a talented guy. He's going to do his.
You're saying he thinks it's the best job to have is the Steelers quarterback, or they have the best quarterback?
He's saying they have the. No. He's saying it's the best, like situation for a quarterback to like just play mistake free, and they'll just win football games as long as you don't fuck this up and lose the game, Justin Fields.
Definitely agree.
And like what's so funny is like he's still like you know what I mean, he's good for like a few plays a game where like I don't know what he's always looking at, but I feel like they snap the ball to him and it just like hits him in the face mask.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what he's looking at, but he loves to just put the ball on the ground. The other thing though is like he's gonna win in one of these games for them. Like he's gonna like rip off a 75-yard touchdown run when they're like down 6 and get and like dude, I think he's a really good locker room guy. Like DJ Moore loved him. Brandon Ayuk wanted to be traded to the Steelers. Like Pickens loves him. Like dude, these guys really like him. I actually think it's why he kept the starting job and why, because I think Russell Wilson was actually hurt in week 1 and they didn't want to play Fields and they had to. And then once they won, they were gonna just play Fields until he lost. And now I think it's his job for the rest of the year. I think he's like a really good locker room guy. Now, I don't think he's better than Caleb Williams. I don't think he's going to have a better career than Caleb Williams, but I do think that the situation that he's in is perfect, and I'm like kind of rooting for him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. This was an interesting one where like historically, you just don't want to bet Tomlin as a dog on the road.
You like the Steelers.
Week 2 was that situation, and they went in and they just beat the Broncos. They just completely shut down Bo Nix and played a very low scoring, don't make any mistakes, don't let Bo Nix beat us type of game.
Did you know that Tomlin has really good against the spread numbers against rookie quarterbacks?
Like the best.
Him and Belichick are like the two best ever. Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson to me is still a rookie.
Oh yeah, not to you. Yeah, he only started 6 games last year. He's like in his rookie season now.
He has 3 touchdowns. One is that one Hail Mary.
You hate Anthony Richardson.
I think he's terrible. I think he's really bad.
He
has 6 interceptions, 2 fumbles already. Yeah, that's not what you want against the Steelers. The Steelers force turnovers.
Someone on Twitter said Anthony Richardson is capable of making throws that 99% of the league can't make, but he's incapable of making throws that 99% of like normal humans can make.
Yeah.
He's just
he can't throw the ball like 6 yards.
Yeah. He's really bad. He's a really bad decision maker too.
Yeah. So I think I love the Steelers in this game.
Yeah, interesting.
And it's the opposite of how I would always play the Steelers. So I don't know if I'm going to bet that one yet. I do like the under. I think the Steelers are just always going to be an under this year. And they just play slow. They run the ball. They play field position. There's certain teams who are just like going for it on every 4th and 5 from midfield. Steelers will punt the ball and they're like, good luck. Like,
JJ Watt's coming back on the field.
Good luck going 95 yards against us.
Yeah.
And it just makes for a slow paced game, especially when they have if they can get out to an early lead, they just like really put the clamps on and play a slow game. So I like the under, but I think I'm going to end up on the Steelers. I think it's going to be one of my picks this week, depending on what the contest line is.
Cool.
But I think they're really good, man. I think that team, I'm higher on the Steelers each and every week.
Yeah, I think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to think of a team that they remind me of the Ravens teams with like below average quarterback play, but I actually think there's an upside with Fields. Like if they start to trust him, like dude, they've done such a good job. They've just done such a good job with him. Just like, hey, don't lose the game. Like, and they're not even like treating him like that. They're just like, hey, throw deep to throw it out of bounds. Like, you know what I mean? If Pickens catches 5 balls out of bounds, that's better than any interceptions. So I mean, he keeps getting better, but yeah, I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and I don't really think the Vikings are.
One thing I also noticed this weekend, It was the play of the game in the Charger game.
Mhm.
Steelers were up by Steelers were up by 3, and there had been so much talk about Fields not throwing the ball at all down the middle of the field. He
Yeah.
only was throwing the sidelines. And
Yeah,
did
he
you see the
ripped
long
one.
touchdown?
Yeah, he ripped one right over the middle
He
of the field.
finally ripped one right over
Yeah.
the middle, and nobody
Yeah.
was there. And they
Yeah.
were schemed for that, and he just caught it and went 70 yards for a touchdown. And
It
like,
also shows like they're starting to trust him more, and like he's like they like brought him along, like basically like nursing an animal back to health. Like, dude, he was like, look at what Caleb Williams is dealing with in Chicago. Like, dude,
yeah,
like this is like that coming from that. I mean, look what Bryce Young is going through. Like these guys are like their confidence is gone.
yep.
So
That to me was like they almost like rope-a-doped him. It was like
yeah.
we've been setting that play up for 3 weeks. Now we just hit it. We hit on it.
Yeah.
Like put out this, let everyone know he's not ever throwing to the middle of the field. He can only throw to the sidelines. And then you just rip one. It was a great throw too. He ripped it right on. It's like, sure, he's capable of doing it. Broncos at Jets. Jets are -7.5.
Yeah. I love the Broncos. This is one of my so normally I was thinking about this game earlier. So normally when you have a team that just looked so good and won on the field, you're not getting enough value if the next week. But the Jets are like insanely overvalued. Like all I've heard is how good Aaron Rodgers looked, blah, 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 blah. And like, yeah, he looked good, but the Patriots are supposed to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL. Like, and guess what? Oh, they beat the Bengals. Well, hey, the Bengals are 0-3 and like cratering. So I just love fading the Jets and Robert Saleh. Like they don't do anything well enough to and big revenge game. I don't know if you remember from before last year, but Sean Payton and so Nathaniel Hackett had the Broncos job and got fired.
Mhm.
And then like Peyton's first press conference, he was like, this was the worst coach team in the league last year. He basically just shit all over Nathaniel Hackett. And so
But Rodgers loves Hackett. He might go out there.
yeah, no. Rodgers is gonna play hard, but like I mean what the reality is that like the Jets are good because of Rodgers and Wilson, not like there's no way Nathaniel Hackett is like the reason the Jets are good.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. I like the under in this game.
Okay.
I think it's just a defensive game. And one thing about the Jets is they play so slow and towards the end of the game when they have a lead.
Yeah.
And I think the Jets are going to win this game. 7.5 might be too much. I don't really have too strong of a feeling. It could be like last week I had the Patriots and the under. I bet so went 1-1, but it was very apparent that the game was just like over when the Jets got out to the lead.
7-0.
And yeah, maybe the second score.
Yeah.
But
oh no, I thought that game was over like instantly.
Yeah,
like as soon as like they
7.5 is a little bit different, but it could be another one of those games. So I'll probably just bet the under. But I wouldn't bet the Jets. I wouldn't lay 7.5. So if
I
anything,
don't think the Jets are good. I'm flirting with giving them the last wild card spot, but I think I would rather have. I think the Chiefs and Chargers both get in, and then I think that the Steelers, I think there's just that 7th wild card spot is probably open for them, but I would really like to not give it to them. I don't think that they're very good. I think like one of the things I've noticed this year is these teams that like I don't think defenses go like overlap. Like if like the Browns had a good defense last year, well I don't think they have a good defense this year. The Jets had a really good defense last year. I don't know if they have. Like I just don't think the Jets are very good.
Yeah, it's not a given that they're going to have a good good defense.
And then I think Salah is a bottom 5 coach in the league.
Yeah. I actually think the Jets are good, but I wouldn't bet them. I wouldn't lay 7.5 points. I think that I'm giving them a wild card spot currently.
Yeah.
But that's not really a game where it's like buy low and sell high.
No, I'm not like dying to play the Broncos.
I
just was thinking about earlier that I like them in that game a little bit.
Eagles -2.5 at the Bucks.
Yeah, this game's tough. I would say it's probably a good spot to play the Bucks, but I think that they're still overvalued from what they did the first 2 weeks. Like there's like a residual overvaluing of them. I didn't think they should have beat I don't think they beat the Lions. If they play that game 10 times, I don't think they beat them much. And the Eagles are a hard team to figure out.
I kind of think that the market is agreeing with what you're saying. That's why they're a home dog.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are a little bit in shambles now that Devonta Smith's hurt.
Yeah.
We'll see if AJ Brown plays.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. If Saquon Barkley's literally been so good that Jalen Hurts being kind of okay and Sirianni being terrible, they're still winning football games. But
yeah,
like Tampa Bay to me, they're 2-1 now, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Tampa Bay to me is a 9-8. Like them in New Orleans are like maybe playing each other the last week of the season to figure out who gets to 10 wins and wins that division, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
This to me is a pretty. I think I'm buying low on the Bucks and I'm selling high on the Eagles on this one.
Okay.
I think I'm going to end up on the Bucks +2.5. Hopefully it goes to 3. I would like it a lot more.
Yeah.
But 2.5 is still a good number. I like 2.5. Bengals Panthers. If there's ever a time to sell high on the Panthers, it might be this one.
Yeah. What the Bengals are favored by like 8 in that game.
4.5.
It was 7.5 before the game yesterday.
I know. Oh, I'm buying the Bengals and selling the Panthers.
Yeah.
Bengals -4.5.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk too much about that, right?
Yeah. That's like an unbelievable play. That line, by the time Circa puts out lines tomorrow, I bet that line's like close to 6.
Jaguars +7 at the Texans. They both are coming off losses. I would have felt differently about this if the Texans had just beat the Vikings and looked really good. I think it would have been a good buy low, sell high. But both coming off losses.
Division game. Yeah, it's probably the Jaguars is probably the right side of that game.
I think it is, but I would have liked it more if the Texans won and this line was like 7.5 or 8.
Yeah.
But at 7, both coming off losses. I don't know. The Jags have looked so bad, man.
Yeah.
They look like a mess, but that's usually the right time to bet them.
There's some rumors that that's Belichick's landing spot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Nice and sunny Florida.
Yeah.
Commanders +3.5 at Arizona.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to play Arizona.
It was 5.5 last night. Now it's 3.5. So it just seems like a big overreaction. Arizona coming off a loss to Lions.
It's also that you can't always go by this logic, but sometimes when the line is 3.5, you can just go, oh yeah, the right side's to lay the 3.5.
Yeah. Sometimes. Also, I think the 3.5 is always much more likely to be a blowout than a 2.5. It's like the market. It could just be that could be the game. This reminds me a lot of. I love the Commanders this year in that division, but it does remind me of the Raiders win. Now, like in hindsight, they're going to be jazzed for this win. It's a short week. Everything. Also,
yes,
the Bengals haven't looked very good, and they were able to score a ton of points. Like every time they had the ball, they were scoring.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
to me, Arizona's defense.
Tampa put 40 on Washington week 1. Their defense is not good. Yeah.
And Arizona's defense has looked pretty good to me for about half of every game. They looked good for a half against the Bills, and they looked really good in the second half of the Lions game.
Did you see that was a really false cover by Detroit? That you should have won that bet. The refs like totally fucked that up and like gave back a pick 6. Yeah.
Also,
Arizona's good.
I took under in this game, under 50,
Okay.
and totals of 50 or more for the last 3 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. It's like 12-5.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of blindly. The scoring is just down. I had Arizona under last week against the Lions. It was at 52.
Yeah.
That went under. So it's the only game of 50 or more this week. And it's scary. Both teams are going to put up points, but I just think I think Arizona's defense is going to be able to slow the Commanders down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like Arizona -3.5 and the under. Patriots Niners. I'm not really interested in this game.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Patriots are +10. It's the first game if it closes at 10 to be 10 or more.
When I saw the line and I heard that it's the first game at 10, it made me think like, okay, if the market thinks that every one of these games should be close and they're finally setting the line at 10, then the Niners will probably win by 30. That was like my reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm gonna probably pay attention actually, just to like what everyone's saying. And if everybody just like us is like, oh my God, Brock Purdy is so good. He's amazing. And these guys still don't play. If Kittle and Debo and McCaffrey are out, then I'll probably bet the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it goes to 10.5. Browns at Raiders.
Yeah. Love the
Raiders have gone through the 0, which is usually not a good sign. They opened up +1. Now they're -1. It's just, you just got to fade the Browns.
I mean, I think we've figured the Raiders out now. They're the roller coaster team. After a win, they're celebrating and drinking champagne and smoking cigars. After week 2 wins in Baltimore, that's what they do. And they're not going to be ready to play Carolina in week 3. Now, they just lost to the worst. I think Carolina is the worst NFL team in 5 seasons. So the Raiders coming off of losing to them, the only way the Raiders aren't up and ready for this game is if they like totally implode in the locker room based off of like Pierce's comments in the press. But I still think that's their guy, and they probably just like hashed it out. So we'll see what their reports are this week.
I mean, as upset as he was, everybody had to be like, what just happened? Like, what? Like,
yeah.
And if there were guys who didn't play hard, they know who they are, and it's going to be.
Well, the theory that was presented was that he was talking about Devontae Adams because Adams was like not catching. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was possibly Luke Getsy because they mentioned some plays about he mentioned like the offense a little bit, and Max Crosby did too. Like the run wasn't working, and we just continued to do the same things, and it continued to not work. And to me, it just sounded like he was talking about Luke Getsy. Like he just ran some like terrible game plan scheme and didn't change it up at all. But yeah, I think this is either a game where they're going to completely implode and we'll see it, which I don't think is going to happen. I think this is a game where like people are playing for their job security now. Like this is where guys play hard. And that's kind of what the Raiders are.
They also just need to abandon this running thing, dude. Like they couldn't run in Baltimore. Like just like throw the ball. Like they can't. You guys can't run. You guys aren't like Zamir White sucks. Like throw the ball. Throw the ball.
Yep. Offensive line's bad. Browns' offensive line is also really bad. I'm playing. I've already bet the under in this game too. I bet under 37.
The Giants D line just fucking demolished the Browns in Cleveland.
Yeah. Similar to how the Panthers dominated the Raiders. This is going to be an ugly, ugly football game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of like short dinks, dunks.
Yeah.
No time in the pocket. This is going to be an ugly game. It's a lot of sacks. Raiders and under. Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs are laying 8 points.
Yeah, Herbert's out. That means so. Yeah.
I'm going to be on the Chargers. It's an ugly one. Don't think anybody's going to. I think I'm going to hopefully this goes to like 9.5, 10.
Yeah.
Depending who starts. I think it's going to be Heineke who.
Yeah, Heineke's
I'll take 10 points with the Chargers who are going to literally run the ball every single play.
Yeah.
Maybe a play action. here and there, and he'll actually have like an open receiver. Maybe he can hit him.
Yeah.
But these are just games that the Chiefs don't cover. They don't cover over a touchdown like ever. So in a low scoring, run the ball type of game, the Chiefs are not going to make any mistakes that cause them to lose the game. So I think they'll play a little bit more conservatively. I don't expect them to blow the Chargers out. Chargers defense isn't terrible. We'll have to see, though. I want Bosa to play, and we'll have to check all the injuries. But I think I'm just going to end up on the Chargers at home against a divisional rival with Harbaugh. Probably the under, too, now that I think about it. It might be a good under.
Yeah.
39, which is kind of low, but I think it's probably the right bet. Bills, Ravens. This one's interesting.
Dude, I'm so pumped for this game.
Best game of the week.
Yeah, I'm not betting this game, but just gonna enjoy it.
I think it's a great spot for the Ravens, -2.5, but I'm not
plus
betting against
plus
Josh
two
Allen.
plus 2.5. They got to be getting to it.
Ravens are -2.5 in Baltimore.
Oh, I thought it was in Buffalo. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Bills +2.5.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I think everything about this seems like I would normally take the Ravens here.
Yeah. So you're just
I really think
you're just insta-fading yourself right now.
I
Just
think we're gonna find out.
Hey, dude, that's a pretty sharp, like, that's when you're really locked in. When you look at a line and you go, "Oh my God, the Ravens are only -2.5," and then you go, "Beep beep 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 beep." I love the Bills.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I think everybody is going to bet the Bills. Yeah. I think everyone is going to bet the Bills.
The Ravens are a really good football team. Like,
I think that's why I would normally, my instincts are to bet the Ravens, because I know how good the Bills have looked.
Yeah.
And the Ravens have to be the right side. But I don't know. Like, the Ravens we saw in the first 3.5 quarters of that game against the Cowboys, that's like Ravens football, where Lamar had a great game. He came out, he ran the ball, he ran for a touchdown. They looked so good. And then if you just kind of like, they got an onside kick, there was like all sorts of bogus penalties.
The Ravens
they blew the Cowboys out for all intents and purposes.
Close, yeah.
And so I'm just really excited to watch that game. I'm not going to bet it. It's going to be the best game.
Here's the thing that we've decided. You handicapped this perfectly. Lamar Jackson came out and said in a press conference at some point, either last season or at the beginning of this season, he said, "I'm going to protect my body in games that are not must win, like the Raiders game." And he said, "I am going to do what it takes to win in must win games." So against the Chiefs, he was all over the place. Against the Raiders, he was not. Against the Cowboys, he was all over the place. On Sunday Night Football, and he's 1-2 against the 3-0 Bills, he's going to try and outrun Josh Allen. So, yeah, I that's, to me, that game's a just straight coin flip. So you just fade the public. Like, whatever the numbers end up being at game time, if that line is still 2.5, if 60% or more is on whatever side, you just take the other side. That's fine.
That's probably a good way to look at it. The other thing is the Bills being 3-0, kind of riding high. Maybe it's a spot where Josh Allen decides, I'm not going to run a bunch. I'm not going to take any shots.
I think the Bills vibes right now are immaculate. Those guys are going to come into that game like really like stoked. But maybe. So normally it would be on the Ravens. It is Sunday Night Football, so I might end up on the under 46.5. It's a lot of points. It should be. Both teams have been able to score a lot. Both teams have good defenses. I would probably lean to the under. It is a little scary though when both teams are just scoring so many points. At least the Bills are. Like, the Bills look unstoppable for the last couple of drives. Like, the first half of the Dolphins game, they scored like every time. And then first half against the Jaguars, they scored every time. Yeah.
And they're getting in the end zone.
Still trying to like temper expectations there, because what I saw in that game was the Jaguars were completely unprepared with a really bad scheme, a really bad plan and they quit like instantly. Like they were down 13-0 and then they didn't get a first down or whatever and the game was over.
That's
So,
how I felt about watching the Dolphins game also, but our team's
yeah.
just like showing up unprepared to play the Buffalo Bills and then just quitting. Like I don't know.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
why is everybody doing that?
Well, not everybody. I think the Thursday night's a bad spot for the Dolphins, so that's what it looks like. And then I think last night the Jaguars, like, yeah, they're like caving in on themselves, and their coach is about to get fired, and they're like, not like, like that's
Maybe.
yeah, like maybe.
That was,
I'm not saying that that's
yeah.
for sure what's happening. I'm just saying it could be what's happening. So the
The
Bills
Jags
could be
being 0-2,
overvalued.
that was the spot we expect them to show up, and they
I know.
yeah, they sure
Oh,
did.
trust me, I know.
Titans at Dolphins. I have
Ugh.
not. I'm not touching this game other than
Hey,
I did
dude.
bet the under. I'm not
Hey,
picking a
dude.
side, but no, these teams are not scoring unless there's multiple pick six.
Fucking poo bowl. God,
Yeah.
dude.
We don't need to talk about it.
Skylar Murray, Dorian Thompson Robinson. The fucking did you hear the announcer for the Seahawks was accidentally calling him Skylar Murray?
No, that's hilarious.
Skylar
Was he? Are you sure he wasn't like joking, like calling him?
No, yeah, they
Murray?
had to correct him. Yeah, they ended up correcting him. So now I'm calling him Skylar Murray, Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Like it. Last game is there's two that actually is a Monday Night Football game.
I know there's two Monday night games.
Thank goodness there's a second game, and
I
that is
don't know,
Seahawks.
dude. I think Will Levis is must see TV at this point.
3-0 Seahawks.
Yeah.
At the 2-1 Detroit Lions. Lions -3.5.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really good spot for Detroit. It's
I agree.
Seattle won in Detroit last year too. I think it was their 0-2 spot last year. They were 0-2 and they played in Detroit in week 3.
Now they're 3-0
and they beat them in overtime on the field.
They're not very good going east.
I love the Lions.
Yep, me too.
I mean, there's always a chance the Seahawks are like an actual Super Bowl contender. Now is a good time to remind everyone that on this pod, when we had 2 views, 2 subscribers, that
both of our moms.
We talked, yeah, dude. Both our moms have 75-1 futures on the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So we basically said Seahawks are 75-1 to win the Super Bowl and plus 600 or plus 650 to win the NFC West. So if you had played Seahawks plus 650 to win the NFC West, you could now bet the Niners to come back and win the NFC West and have plus money on the 2 teams that are for sure going to win the NFC West. So, I don't know. We're sharp. Victory lap. Yeah. So anyway, I would say that there's still always a chance that, like, what I said coming into the season is like McDonald might be like a actual schematic defensive, like, boy genius. And like 3.5 is too many points, but I think it's a good spot for the Lions.
I agree. I'm also probably going to bet the under 47.
Yeah.
So far I've just bet 5 unders: Giants under, Colts under, Cardinals under, Raiders under, Dolphins under. Probably should add the Lions to that list. Yeah, pretty good. I think that's a pretty good rundown, pretty good preview of week 4. And
awesome.
We have the official contest lines coming out shortly, and we'll be.
So that's it for the podcast. We'll do another one tomorrow or the next day that has our final submissions for the Circa contest.